mean, you're playing, as a woman inflicted with cerebral palsy, and you said yourself it was a very daunting task to take on. So what did you do to prepare for the role?
A lot. I mean, I wasn't convinced at first at all that I could do it. It was Shonali's convincing. It was my director who sort of said, you can do this, and she really saw something, I guess, of the character that she wanted from me. I think it's just my goofy smile, which is very like Laila in the character. The character has this, sort of happiness about her, which she wanted to see. But 6 months of a lot of work, essentially.
Just 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
That's nothing.
But that's a lot of time. I mean, a lot without doing anything else.
Wow.
So we were... I was introduced to Malini, who has cerebral palsy and is Shonali's cousin.
Yes.
I spent a lot of time with her. I was shadowing her. She was amazing. She let me live with her. I spent time in her house. We went out drinking, partying, dancing. We went to watch movies together. So we did a lot. I went to her work. Yeah. Then I worked with her physiotherapist and her speech therapist as well to understand the mechanics of the muscles, how the breath and the voice are, and all of that. So it was really important for me. I can never ever understand what it is to have cerebral palsy fully.
You came close to it.
But I think that practice of staying there in the wheelchair and feeling like you can't, you have to do, you can't get up, you can't just go to the loo. I mean, you need help, you need people to take you and all of that. So it was important. It was a lot of work.
As an actor, you're constantly subject to, scrutiny in the public eye, be it from your fans, your detractors, or even obviously the media. So, in light of the recent controversy and, where the Times of India decided to focus on a body part with what happened with Deepika, what do you feel about this issue? Do you not think that, as an actor, this is sort of a, it's an occupational hazard in some sense?
See, the problem is not focusing so much on body parts. I mean, we do certain roles, or even in, we dress how we want, we choose that. But I think when you make a headline out of it and you you only focus on that, you really trivialize the person, and you make them into an object. It's objectification of a woman, and I feel that is very harmful as a
it's perpetuating, perpetuating.
It just, it just makes you not see beyond that, not see the person beyond that. It's kind of a sense. It's almost a propaganda or a censorship of something. You're only showing one version of someone, and I think that's very unfair. So I'm all for, people expressing themselves and being anything. I just don't see how you can moral police somebody by the way they dress. We don't do it for men, and suddenly, we do it a lot less for men.
A lot
anyway.
less, but it's still. I mean, actors are still subject to it.
A lot less for men, I would say. But of course, we're prepared for it to a certain degree because we're in the limelight. But that doesn't mean we don't have a right to defend ourselves.
Of course.
And I think that's important.
Right. So, where do you draw inspiration from? Because I mean, you have mentioned that you've, felt misplaced in certain parts of India. Like, you believe that India is your home in general, but you've never really felt like you belong to one certain place. So, is this a collective experience that you draw inspiration from?
I think inspiration is a collective experience of everything you've gone through from the time you're born. You're just constantly experiencing things all the time, and influences, whether it's what you experience with your friends at school or your teachers or neighbors, or everyone affects you in some way or the other. So all of that leads to inspiration, and then it just needs a trigger. It just needs something that upsets you or makes you angry that day, or that gets it out of your system. So I think for me, writing has been therapy, and it's always been there in my life. It's just never been public for a long time.
Yeah, and you're so heavily involved in women's rights. You're very outspoken about what you feel about women's rights, and especially with your very successful TV campaign. What do you want to do? What more do you think has to be done? And do you see yourself playing more roles in films that are titled towards such issues? I
mean, I feel issue of women is something that just comes really naturally to me. I don't know why I'm so interested, but I guess it's because of, again, all the experiences you have as a woman in India. So it's not something that's forced. So I'm not trying to, be some banner. It's only when I really feel like I have something important to say, or I feel like, I can add to this dialogue. And I think that's all it is. It's just continuing the dialogue so that we're not forgotten. And we have a long way to go, why is a woman not paid the same as a man for doing the same job? It's a very simple question, and I don't see why there's an issue, but it's because of a history of repression of women and a history of which will take time. But I think it's coming more and more in the forefront, and I think all over the world we're seeing it. And recently that Emma Watson's speech in the UN was very apt and interesting. And I'm glad that people who are normal, in the sense who are not dedicating their life only to that. People who are in every walk of life should be talking about this.
Absolutely,
not just women's right activists, And I think that's where we need to sort of all feel part of the conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, in general, you don't see many Northeasterners in movies, and they're generally misrepresented, So when do you think minorities like the Northeasterners will actually get a foot in Bollywood? Do you think that it'll happen anytime, especially with the advent of a movie like Mary Kom?
I mean, I think it stems from stories not being very rooted in reality. So until our stories become more real, we can't expect any minority. I mean, we stereotype Tamilians, we stereotype North Indians, we stereotype everybody. So, I think it's really important that our stories become a little more rooted in reality, which doesn't mean they have to be serious. They can still be comedies or entertaining films, but they have there needs to be that sense that this is not a dream world, that this can actually happen, and these are real people. I think we lack that writing and that maturity in our stories a lot of the time in Bollywood. And who knows? I mean, I think more and more, now we have an audience that's seeking out that kind of work. So we have independent cinema, we have access to world cinema because of the internet, and so people are expecting more. So I think that's also giving a drive to, more recently I'm seeing more and more writers in Bollywood, who are coming out of the woodwork, who've always been there but have not had the payment, have not had the recognition. So I think that's a great thing. I think it'll still take time, but it's happening.
Very nice to meet you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
I think my time is up. So
yes, we must go and have some dinner now.
I